Welcome, trader. With the start of this week, I'm looking basically at breakout continuations or stronger retracements. That's the main question on the euro dollar, pound, dollar yen, and Aussie. Before we take a look at the charts though, be aware that this video is shown to a global audience but may not be suitable for everyone. Take a look at admiralmarketsglobal.com, select your country of residence, and contact an appropriate entity for more details. Also, please be aware that trading for exchange and global financial markets is considered high risk. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. This video is for informational and educational purposes only. By continuing watching this webinar or video, you agree with this disclaimer and you are aware of the risk involved when trading. Alright, starting with the pound dollar last week, the Bank of England decreased its rate from 0.5 to 0.25% for the interest rate, and that created a lot of bearishness on the pound against the dollar as well, sending this pound USD lower and breaking basically the contracting triangle that we've been seeing built here for a while. We had, of course, the huge momentum to the downside during Brexit, continuation of that with the lower low, but then price started to oscillate here between the support and resistance. We got a break of that trend line and the triangle last week, and now it seems to be continuing in a bearish momentum lower and lower. So how far could this go? Well, first of all, the bottoms are always, of course, important, but if that breaks, then I would be inclined to put a fib from here to here, and basically you can see the price respected the 78.6 fib at 133.75. I would be looking for the targets basically here. Once it breaks the bottom, minus 272, minus 61.8, that's how far the pound USD could fall, of course, pending that break. So in the meantime, if we take away this fib and take a look at this breakout, we have space to the bottom, which is at 126, I believe. Let's take a look. 128 actually. So that's the space. At this moment, price is in a bearish momentum. So let's zoom into the hourly chart. You can see here, the break and the continuation. At this moment, got a strong hourly candle showing the continuation of the momentum. And I think that that's a pretty strong breakout candle. So this looks ready for continuation of this pound USD weakness. Now, if this bottom, I will be basically at this moment, I was preparing this webinar or video, I should say, and I wanted to say, look for this breakout, but that has already occurred. So that trade is behind us. Anyone who might have taken that trade is doing well in that setup. But from this point of view, that trade is already behind us. So at this point, there are two things I think that I'll be looking for: is either price does not break this bottom. In that case, there could be still a bigger zigzag. I would be looking for price to turn at either the 131.15 272 target or 131.40 minus 61.8 target. That's where I would expect basically the price to head back lower. But if it does break through this bottom, all right, then no sense to take this. Might as well take this fib off. If it does break this bottom, what I'll be looking for is a pattern. I would look for a break. I would look for a bear flag, and the break of that bear flag is the trade that I would like to trade. Preferably below 130. We got 130 psychological level right nearby, right here. So what I would like to see is for price to basically poke through that, show kind of a triangle, maybe retest that resistance, that 130 round level, and turns around like that. All right, that's what I'll be looking for: triangle or bear flag below 130 as a continuation trade on the pound. We will take a look at the other pairs in just a second. Just wanted to mention that Tuesday, Wednesday, we will talk about the pound again in our live trading session on Tuesday, 6:45 a.m. GMT time. Strategy, one day later, same time, same place though. Now we're talking about fractals strategy. So take a look if you enjoyed that. And also, of course, we have Nenet's contributions here with the weekly setups on Monday, his expert opinion on Wednesday, and together we take a look at trading psychology, how to calm your mind during trading on Thursday. Next is the euro dollar. Looking at the weekly chart, we see basically down momentum and a triangle, of course, already for a while. This triangle finally could be over. We see that price is making a downtrend channel here. So that could be the first hint of a continuation of the bearish momentum that was here. And this could be the first start of it, and then price could fall. Also last week, you see basically this channel showing some good bearish candles last week too. But there is a but. Although this could be the start of a downtrend, this could be the start of a continuation of that bearish momentum on the weekly. Two support lines here, very important. Daily support trend lines here indicating support. Price needs to break below that before a larger downside can be expected. As soon as these support trend lines break, there could be some decent bearishness on this your dollar, I could expect price to fall at least to 107.50 to the bottom here, but it could finally accelerate and it could show more power than we've seen so far and retest this bottom at 104.50. Finally, we could see some more impulsiveness basically as these support trend lines break. So this is very important from a daily perspective, weekly perspective. Those trend lines need to break, and there could be some serious downside after that. Until that happens, though, basically, although the daily is showing a good downtrend channel, all right, basically there's still some support left here that's very important. From a 4-hour perspective, the target would be at those levels there at 110, 109.75. So any shorts that I take within this week, that would be the primary target because that's a daily support bouncing spot. If price then breaks below that, that changes things, of course, and then there's a lot more space to the downside. So from an hourly perspective, we see a substantial turn in momentum. This was strong upside, broke support, strong downside now. Same thing as the pound USD, basically. I'm looking for price to either retrace higher to these targets, basically to show a turnaround and continuation lower. Or if that does not happen, then I'm looking for a breakout below this bottom, basically, and there could be some continuation. Now, there's only one problem. There's just a very small space here. So, there's not that much space as the pound. So if it breaks, it would need to hook back to 110, 60-ish, 70-ish before there's a decent space down to 110. So there's less space upon the breakout. So I need a deeper pullback before a downside trade becomes interesting on the euro. That's one option. The other option, as I said, if it goes back to these targets, that would be great as well. Or the third, if it builds some kind of triangle here or a sideways zone like this, if it bounces here and then does like this and then breaks this support level, that could be interesting as well for more downside. All right, looking at the dollar yen, basically price is bouncing off the support trend line. So I think that, basically despite the daily downtrend that we see, we have to realize that on a weekly chart, price could be in an interesting bouncing spot due to this 50 fib bounce here, as you can see. So that's, from a weekly perspective, an interesting support zone. So despite the daily downtrend, there could be reasons that price could bounce here. At least one would expect, or one could, anticipate a bounce back to resistance trend lines here. So if we zoom in all the way to the hourly, at this point, basically, if I see a triangle, if I see price stay in between these lines, a breakout to the upside could be interesting for a retest of these resistances. Downside, I would really only be interested if this support trend line breaks. So price would need to show momentum, a bear flag, and then a break of that support line before I am interested in shorting it. Last but not least, the Aussie is still stuck in a triangle here, despite the Aussie interest rate decrease, basically just like the Bank of England did. Aussie still not really moving that much. It had some bearishness because of that, but ultimately still stuck in this triangle, and I don't think it's particularly interesting to trade at this point. It would have to break probably this resistance or this support trend line to see some kind of trade, breakout trade, that I might find interesting later on this week. For the moment, though, it seems stuck and going very slowly and choppily. So from this perspective, the most interesting trades are not the Aussie, I think, but the pound USD, looking for a continuation lower either upon the breakout or retracement. The least interesting is the Aussie, and number 2 and 3 are the euro and dollar yen. Once again, looking for the euro continuation lower as well, down to 110, either because of a sideways move, retracement, or breakout. But 110 needs to break before we can see bigger downside. Or the dollar yen, as I said, could be interesting if it bounces to retest these trend lines here, or if it breaks for a breakout to the downside. All right, so that wraps up today. Hope to see you in those webinars. We'll be talking about these currency pairs, of course. And make sure to take a look at admiralmarkets.com for all of your analytics and opinions and education. Wish you good trading. Talk to you soon. Cheers.